Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, November 23rd. It looks like much more seasonal temperatures have returned to the mid-Atlantic region. Will stick around right through the upcoming weekend into the early part of next week. The month of December begins later next week, and I thought I'd take a look here over the next several minutes at some of the factors I'm looking at to kind of depict what kind of temperatures we may have across the central and eastern U.S. during the month of December. Indeed, there are plenty of signs for a colder weather pattern to reestablish itself in the central and eastern states as we move through the month of December. It could get off to a mild start, but then quickly turn colder again, and it looks like once that cold pattern gets established, it'll stick around for much of the month of December. First of all, let's take a look at a 500 millibar anomaly forecast map from the European ensemble run of yesterday for about the December 6th time frame. We're well into the first week of the month of December, and it's kind of a pattern we're seeing here from the European ensemble run is pretty consistent amongst other models as well. Three key areas to focus in on. First of all, kind of a trough setting up over the south central part of Canada into the northern U.S. right here. Also, at the same time, upper level ridging over Alaska, and here perhaps most importantly a kind of a blocking type pattern setting up over Greenland and Iceland here with higher heights than normal. This really the combination of these three features in the upper part of the atmosphere suggests pretty cold weather pattern for much of the central and eastern U.S. Again, ridging over Alaska allows for some cold air to drop south and east from the polar region into western Canada, and then ultimately that pushes into the central and slides into the eastern part of the U.S. And once you set up a kind of a blocking pattern with higher heights than normal, higher pressures than normal over places like Greenland and Iceland, northeastern Canada, that colder pattern can stick around for a while. And that's kind of what I'm anticipating as we go through the month of December. Well, another sign that favors a colder weather pattern reestablishing itself over the central and eastern U.S. during the early part of the month of December has to do with the teleconnection index known as the EPO, the East Pacific Oscillation. When it slides into negative territory this time of the year, that generally supports the idea of a ridge popping up over places like Alaska and the northwestern part of Canada, and that in turn allows for cold air masses to be transported from the polar region way up in northwestern Canada all the way south and east into the central and eastern U.S. We had off the charts type negative EPO just in the last week or so, and that correlated with a very, very cold 10 days or so across much of the eastern half of the nation. It will jump up over the next couple of days into positive territory, but then the trend goes back down negative. This is really kind of a consistent forecast amongst many computer forecast models that the EPO, again, after it goes up into positive territory for just a few days, here in the immediate future, it'll slide back down into negative territory, and that again favors that popping up of the Alaska Ridge, which in turn allows for cold air to be transported from way up in Canada into the central and eastern U.S. Notice this goes all the way out to December 6th. It's a forecast from a European model run on Tuesday. Well, another factor that's always interesting to look at this time of the year is the snow cover, not only across the U.S. and Canada, but across the northern hemisphere as a whole. In general, the more the snow cover, the better the chances for cold air masses to build up, the more widespread and deep cold air masses are likely to build up. So it's certainly something to look at, not only during the month of October and this particular month, but going forward into December as well. And here's where we stand right now. This is a positive sign, if you like the idea of potential cold pattern here in the central and eastern U.S. The fact that across the northern hemisphere, snowpack is a little bit above normal for this time of the year. Here we are in the middle part of November right here, and that red line is some of the highest totals we've seen since 2007 at this stage of the late fall season here. Again, some of the highest snowpack we've seen since 2007 across the northern hemisphere, and that is a positive sign for the buildup of cold air masses, and it certainly favors the possibility of a colder weather pattern, colder than normal weather pattern, reestablishing itself in December for the central and eastern U.S. Well, let's now take a look at some actual forecasts for temperatures, and ultimately we'll take a look at a snowfall map here for the month of December. This is from the European ensemble run of last night, and it's a 2-meter temperature anomaly pattern for the 5-day period between December 3rd and December 8th, shown right here. It's basically days 10 to 15. Indeed, an ensemble run of the European model has cold air, colder than normal air, all the way from southwestern Canada, south central Canada, into the northern half of the U.S. Remains above normal across the Gulf region here, but again, much of the U.S. with below normal temperatures for that period, December 3rd to December 8th. So this is kind of not too surprising given those teleconnection signs we were just looking at, as well as the forecast map of the 500 millibar height anomaly pattern here. Colder than normal conditions expected here by the European ensemble run for the first into the second week of December. Well, let's go out even farther in time using what's known as the European weekly model run. This happens to be in the speculation phase, no doubt. It's all the way out days 23 to 30, all the way from the 14th of December to December 21st. But look at this. For this 7-day period, this is quite impressive cold here, with way below normal temperatures, some 30 degrees below normal for that entire 7-day period from the 14th to the 21st across the northern plains, the upper part of the Midwest, colder than normal all the way to the eastern seaboard and the Gulf region here. This is quite an impressive look to it. Again, it's a European weekly model run for the week of December 14th to the 21st. Again, kind of not too surprising given some of those teleconnection indices and some of the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps as we go into the early part of December. Well, let's wrap up with some real speculation here. This is a forecast of total snowfall amounts from the European weekly model run, verifying all the way out there on December 21st. So we're about a month away. This is just fun to look at. Don't hold me to this. But again, this is something interesting to look at nonetheless from the weekly run of the European model, with a lot of snowfall in the northern part of the nation here. A month from now, this is total accumulated snow over the 7-day period here. This is actually a 7-day forecast map verifying on December 21st. So it's way out there in speculation, but given that cold air forecast map by the European weeklies, it's not too surprising to see some accumulating snow across the northern U.S. Again, this is a 7-day total snowfall map ending, verifying on December 21st. So again, several signs here. The bottom line is several signs point to the return of a colder than normal weather pattern for much of the northern U.S., certainly the central and eastern U.S. during the month of December. We've looked at teleconnection indices, potential for the 500 millibar height anomaly pattern to include a kind of a blocking high over Greenland and Iceland. These are factors we'll certainly monitor closely over this next several days as we end the month of November and slide into the month of December. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.